Okay, so continuing with the colloidal solution, we will see the preparation of the colloidal sols. Now, lyophilic colloids, as we have studied earlier in the difference between lyophobic and lyophilic. Lyophilic colloids has got a simple methods of preparation. Lyophilic colloids. Now, lyophilic means which is liquid loving. For example, a starch solution, a gelatin solution, soap solution, gum, Arabic, we can say that. All this, how do you prepare it? You just take little bit of water and you add the starch or you add some gelatin or soap into it. What you'll find? That it simply dissolves in it. If it does not dissolve in cold water, you can take little bit of warm water, you can take it and you can dissolve in it. Just stir it little bit, it is going to dissolve in it. So that is a very simple method of preparation of a colloidal solution. Alright. Similarly, a colloidal sol of cellulose nitrate is obtained by dissolving it in a mixture of ethyl alcohol and ether. Alright. Ethyl alcohol and ether, which acts as a solvent. Now, the product obtained is called colloidon. Collodion, colloidon, we can say that. Alright. But lyophobic colloids, they do not have what you can say the direct methods of preparations. They are not prepared directly, just like lyophilic colloids. They have got different methods or they have got some indirect methods of preparations. You can see it. So you can see on the screen we have got condensation method, we have got oxidation method, we have got reduction, we have got hydrolysis, double decomposition, exchange of solvents. So one method I am going to discuss with you. You write the reactions also. You can see the method on the screen. You just write the reaction. Got it? So condensation, under condensation method, all this is being coming. The condensation means this method involves a joining together of large number of smaller particles to form particles of the colloidal size. That is called condensation. Always remember that. You later on also you will study in organic chemistry or condensation reactions. So there the smaller molecules, they join together and it forms a bigger molecules. Bigger molecules does not means of the suspended size, no, of the colloidal size. When it forms a bigger molecules of the colloidal size, alright, that is called condensation or aggregation method, we can say that. Now by this method we are coming, that is your oxidation method, we can say that. Oxidation method. Now write down the reactions. H2S plus Br2 gives S plus 2HBr. Here below S you write colloidal sulfur. What I said, H2S plus Br2. Here hydrogen sulfide is being oxidized to sulfur because loss of hydrogen is known as oxidation. Again I repeat the reaction. You can write it down. H2S plus Br2 gives S plus 2HBr. Below S you write colloidal sulfur. You can also write another reaction. H2S plus HNO3, rather 2HNO3 will give you 2H2O plus 2NO2 plus S. Below S again same thing, colloidal sulfur. Again I repeat, H2S plus 2HNO3 gives 2H2O plus 2NO2 plus S. Below S you write colloidal sulfur. That is oxidation. Here also that is hydrogen sulfide is oxidized to sulfur. Next is your reduction method. Reduction like AuCl3 plus SnCl2, auric chloride plus stannous chloride gives Au plus SnCl4. Below Au write gold sol. So gold sol, silver sol, platinum sol we prepare in this particular manner from their salts, from reduction of very dilute solution of their salt by using a particular reducing agent, any suitable reducing agent as we have seen it here. Again I repeat the reaction. 2AuCl3 plus 3SnCl2 will give you 2Au. Below Au write gold sol plus 3SnCl4. Alright. It can be done in several manner like AuCl3 plus formaldehyde HCHO plus water H2O will give you Au plus formic acid. Formaldehyde is oxidized to formic acid plus 6HCl because your formaldehyde acts as a reducing agent. So the one which helps in reduction always oxidizes itself. So formaldehyde is oxidized to formic acid and AuCl3 is being reduced to Au, we can say that. Again I repeat, 2AuCl3 plus 3HCHO plus 3 water will give you 2AU plus 3HCOOH plus 6HCl. Got it? It can be done in this way. Next is hydrolysis. Here what you have to do is that what you find is that generally ferric hydroxide and aluminium hydroxide salts are obtained by boiling solutions of their corresponding chlorides. Ferric hydroxide and aluminium hydroxide colloidal solution. Salt, we can say that. Write down the reaction. FeCl3 plus 3H2O will give you FeOH whole thrice, that is your colloidal solution, plus 3HCl. FeOH whole thrice plus 3HCl, that is hydrolysis. Similarly, you can take AlCl3, AlOH whole thrice also you can take it. You can see on the screen also it is given in words, it is being written, the one which I am saying you. Now, next is double decomposition reaction, we can say that. Double decomposition. Now, here you can take AS2O3 plus 3H2S will give you AS2S3, AS2S3 colloidal solution plus 3 water. Got it? You can see it's written there. Arsenous disulfide colloidal solution is prepared by passing H2S gas into a solution of S2, that is AS2O3. That is what I am saying you. AS2O3 plus 3H2S will give you AS2S3 plus 3H2O. AS2S3 is your colloidal solution. Alright, next is your exchange of solvent. Substances like sulfur, phosphorus, they are fairly soluble in alcohol. They are not soluble in water, you know that. Got it? They are fairly soluble. Basically, they are soluble in carbon disulfide, isn't it? They are fairly soluble in alcohol, but less soluble in water. So, if their alcoholic solutions are poured into water, colloidal solutions of sulfur and phosphorus are obtained. You will take sulfur and phosphorus, put into alcohol. It will be little bit soluble. You take that particular solution and you put into water. You will find you will be getting colloidal solutions of sulfur and phosphorus, you will be getting it. So, in this way, by the exchange of solvent, by changing the solvent, you can prepare a colloidal solution. All these are the examples of lyophobic colloids, we can say that. Alright, by excessive cooling also we can do it. Like colloidal solution of ice is an organic solvent like ether is obtained by freezing a mixture of the solvent and water. What I said, colloidal solution of ice is in an organic solvent like ether, ice in ether. How it is obtained? By freezing a mixture of solvent and the water. What is the solvent here? Ether and water. If you freeze it, you will be getting colloidal solution of ice in organic solvent like ether, alcohol, what you can say, aldehyde, formaldehyde, you can get it. Clear? So these are the different methods of the preparation of lyophobic colloid. Some other methods are also there. We will come to it. You can also prepare it by dispersion method. That is mechanical dispersion method. Now in mechanical dispersion, what we do is that vigorously we agitate it. Alright, we have got a colloidal mill or ultrasonic disintegrator, we call it as. That is where two steel discs are there and little gap is left in between, and we what you can say, vigorously we agitate it. Alright, I'll tell you, that is we are having in, you can see in some of our houses, that is we are having, that is we put the rice and the dal into it, what you can say, circular solid stone, we can say that. The lower stone is being fixed and the upper stone which is moving, which in Hindi we call it as chakki. Alright, similar to that only. That is, we are having stones and the upper stone, a lower stone is fixed and the upper stone is moving, and there we are having a hole and a handle is there. We pour into that hole, what we pour it? Rice and dal we pour it in, isn't it? By which we make what you can say, in Odia we call it as chokoli. Alright, in which we make, alright, and also we are making dosa, idlis, that paste we are making it. So that is similar to that is a colloidal mill. Alright, so in this way we are passing, we are putting the colloids and we are putting the solvent into it and we are rotating at a high speed. Alright, now that is being done by the help of electricity there. Here in case of mechanical disintegration method or mechanical dispersion method, we do it by the help of electricity. Alright, it is being rotated at a high speed. Which is rotated? The upper disc and the lower disc. Here we are having a stone, instead of stone we are having a disc. They are rotated at a opposite direction at a high speed, and we get the colloidal particles, and then we pour the solvent into that hole. Alright, and we get the colloidal solution ultimately. Now next is your peptidization method. Now what is peptidization? The process of passing of a precipitate into colloidal particles on adding suitable electrolyte is known as peptidization. Or you can say peptidization is a process of converting a freshly prepared precipitate into colloidal particles by shaking it with a dispersion medium in the presence of some small amount of suitable electrolyte. For example, we can say reddish brown that is colored PPT of ferric hydroxide, we can say that is obtained by adding small quantity of ferric chloride solution into that particular precipitate. Got it? That is, a reddish brown colored colloidal solution is obtained by adding small quantity of ferric chloride solution to a freshly prepared ferric hydroxide, we can say that. Got it? That is called peptidization. In this way we can obtain it. Clear? So again I repeat the definition. Peptidization is a process of converting a freshly prepared precipitate into a colloidal particle by shaking it with a dispersion medium in the presence of some small amount of suitable electrolyte. The electrolyte which you are adding it, that is called as a peptizing agent. Here, as I said you, in case of ferric hydroxide, the electrolyte is nothing but is your ferric chloride, you can say that. Clear? So in this way we can prepare it. Now what is the cause of this peptidization? Why it peptizes? As electrolyte is added to freshly prepared precipitate substance, the particles of the precipitate preferentially absorb one particular type of ions of the electrolyte. It adsorbs particular type of, like here it adsorbs, that is the ferric ions, we can say that. Clear? So now as a result they get dispersed due to electrostatic repulsion. Electrostatic repulsion means, see, from the ferric chloride ferric ion will be there, and from the ferric hydroxide ferric ion will be there. So when they come closer to each other they get repelled. Got it? Electrostatically they get repelled and they get dispersed. This gives particles of the colloidal size. Got it? These gives particles of the colloidal size. What I said, electrolyte is added to a freshly prepared, just now I said you, precipitate substance. The particles of the precipitate, it preferentially absorb a particular type of ions of the electrolyte. So here it absorbs the ferric ions. As a result, due to when both the ferric ions they come closer, they get repelled and they get dispersed. Got it? Into colloidal size. The particle get dispersed into colloidal size. That is the cause of peptidization, we can say that. So again I repeat, peptidization is a process of converting a freshly prepared precipitate into colloidal particles by shaking it with a dispersion medium in the presence of small amount of suitable electrolyte. That is known as peptidization, we can say that. Now that is Bredik's arc method. Now you can see in this method what we are doing is that we are taking that is a mixture of that is salt and water, that is known as freezing mixture, you can see in the figure, and here we have taken a suitable dispersion medium. This dispersion medium, let us say I have taken water in it, and here you can see two electrodes. Basically I take gold electrode. Let us say if I want to prepare gold sol. Now that gold electrode, first will pass electric current, high tension battery. When a high current is being passed through that electrodes, the electrodes will get heated up. Now this hot electrode, you touch that particular ice cold water, because we have kept the water and below water we have, see, you can see that we have taken dispersion medium is the water, and the freezing mixture we have taken it. The freezing mixture, you know, it's a mixture of common salt and ice. Now there the water is ice cold, the temperature is 0 to 5 degrees centigrade. So when you will touch the hot electrodes into the water, you know what will happen, an arc will be produced. Got it? An arc, a hissing sound, got it, will be produced. Clear? गरम तावे में जब हम पानी डालते हैं, so what happens, that sort of thing will be done here also. Now that particular arc which is being produced, due to the presence due to the formation of the arc, some amount of gold gets dissolved in the, what you can say, water. Now you repeat this process 20 to 30 times till you find the water which was transparent in the beginning, it becomes translucent. The water which was transparent in the beginning, it becomes translucent. Once it turns translucent, that means colloidal solution is prepared. So this method is called Bredik's arc method. Just you have to pass electric current, and the hot electrode you need to touch the cold water repeatedly 20 to 30 times. On every touching you will find some amount of gold gets dissolved in it, in the water, and transparent solution gets converted into translucent solution. So this phenomena is known as what you can say Bradig's arc method or electrolytic or electro disintegration method, we can say that. Alright, so these are the different methods of the preparation of the colloidal solution, we can say that. Alright, how do you know? Again I repeat, how do you know it's a colloidal solution is prepared? It changes from transparent to translucent. Translucent, you must be knowing it, when it allows light partially to pass through it, that is called translucent. Alright, in this way these are the different methods of preparation of colloidal solution. Now the purification of the colloidal solution. Basically colloids consist of what? Crystalloids. Crystalloids, you know, they are the particles which can pass through ordinary filter paper. There is the particles of the true solutions. Now see, if it is the suspended particles is there, you can easily separate it, because suspended particles you can see with your help of your naked eyes. So you can easily separate it. How will you separate it? By filtration you can separate it. But actually the problem is when these particles are present. What is that? Crystalloids are present, because it can pass through filter paper. Are you getting me? Suppose you are having crystalloids, colloids and suspended particle. Now suspended particles you can filter it. On filtration, suspended particles will remain as a residue on the filter paper. It will remain as a residue. But crystalloids will pass through the filter paper now, along with the colloidal solution. So hence you need to separate basically the crystalloids. So the first method is your dialysis. I am saying the definition because it is the picture is not coming completely here. Dialysis is what? The process of separating the particles of colloids from those of the crystalloids by diffusion of mixture through a parchment or an animal membrane is known as dialysis. The process of separating the particles of colloids from those of crystalloids by diffusing of the mixture through a parchment or an animal membrane is known as dialysis. So what you will do is that you take a cellophane paper or you take animal membrane and you put the colloids into it, impure colloids into it, and you tie the mouth of that particular parchment paper or plastic or whatever it is, animal membrane you have taken it. Alright, you tie it with the help of a thread. It forms a bag. Now what you do is that you take that bag containing the impure colloids and you put into water. Alright, you put into water. Just you immerse that bag into water and you take it up. Again immerse, again take it up. Now doing so, what will happen is that crystalloids will pass through. The particles of the crystalloids, they can pass through ordinary filter paper. It will pass through, but colloids will remain inside the filter paper. Colloids will remain inside the filter paper. Now parchment paper means what? Cellophane bag also we can say that, or animal membrane, the bag we can say that. Crystalloids will pass through because then the size of the particle is less than 1 nanometer. So it will pass through the what you can say, that cellophane paper or the parchment bag, but colloids will remain behind. In this way you can separate it. So this is called mechanical dispersion. Now this is a very tedious method of doing it. Alright, and by this method we are also not sure whether all the crystalloids has passed through or not, because it is not necessary here whether all the crystalloids has passed through or not. You can see here it is being showing the method of dialysis which is being done in our body. Alright, it is based on the same method only. Alright, so in this way we are not sure here, so we go for electrodialysis. In case of electrodialysis, what we do is that now here we take that is the same process. Now we just immerse the bag and we pass electric current through it by the help of electrodes. When you pass electric current through it, what will happen is that is the crystalloids will come out of the parchment paper and it will go and get attached to the respective electrode. The positive ions will go to the negative electrode, negative ions will go to the positive electrode. And what will remain in the bag? Only the colloids will remain in the bag. So this method is called electrodialysis. Alright. Now it is very simple method. It is just like the above method, but in mechanical dialysis you have to immerse it, you have to take it out, you have to immerse it, you have to take it out, you have to immerse it. Now by doing so, it is quite possible that some of the crystalloids may get into it also. Instead of getting out, it may get into it also. But in electrodialysis, what happened is that you need to just immerse it once and you pass electric current through it. By doing so, the oppositely charged ions get deposited at the respective electrode. And hence, what it remains inside the bag? Only colloidal solution. This is known as electrodialysis, we can say that. The next method is ultrafiltration method. In ultrafiltration, what we do is that we take ordinary filter paper and we dip it in starch. Got it? And on dipping it in starch comes over the filter paper. Now you dip it in formaldehyde solution and you put it outside in the sun. So the starch, which was a sticky what you can say layer, it becomes hard on dipping it in formaldehyde solution and drying it out in the sun. It becomes hard and non-sticky it becomes. Now that particular filter paper is known as ultra filter paper. Now why do we do so? We reduce the size of the pores of the filter paper. We reduce the size of the pores because ordinary filter paper crystalloids can pass through. Even colloids also can pass through. We can say that. Clear? So we reduce the size of the filter, what you can say, pores. By reducing the size, what happens is that colloids will not pass through, only crystalloids will pass through. Are you getting it? We'll take ordinary filter paper, put into starch solution, then dip it into, put it into formaldehyde and drying out in the sun. What it does? Why we are doing so? Because we reduce the size of the pores. Through that pores, only crystalloids can pass through, not the colloids. Now you take that filter paper and go for filtration. Crystalloids will pass through, colloids will remain. So this sort of filtration is known as ultrafiltration. This is called as, or ultra filter paper, we can say that. Clear? Now next is the properties of the colloids. You can see Tyndall effect. One of the properties, Tyndall effect. When you pass a light through the true solution, it simply passes through. Through colloidal solution, what you find is that the light, when you pass through it, it get dispersed. Alright? The light get dispersed. So that is called as nothing but known as Tyndall effect. Tyndall effect is defined as a scattering of light by the colloidal particles in presence of colloidal solution. Scattering of the light. You can see that light gets scattered here. The light does not pass through. In case of true solution, the light simply passes through. But in case of colloidal solution, the light does not pass through simply. It gets scattered into a beam. That is called as nothing but Tyndall cone, that is said to be as, or the effect is called as Tyndall effect. The scattering of light takes place. Alright. Now it is quite strong in lyophobic colloids, while in lyophilic colloids it is quite weak. When Tyndall effect is weaker, that is, it does not get scattered so easily. But in case of lyophobic colloids, it gets scattered. Why? Because particle size is slightly bigger than that of lyophilic colloids, we can say that. Clear? So this is called as one of the optical properties of the colloidal solution is your Tyndall effect. The other properties of the colloidal is it is heterogeneous in nature. Colloidal solutions are quite stable, we can say that. Got it? It can pass through ordinary filter paper, but it cannot pass through the ultra filter paper. Then when the light is passed through it, that is, the solution is translucent in nature. Got it? All these things we know it. Now, just now I told you the Tyndall effect, I said you, where the light gets scattered when the light is passed through colloidal solutions. Now the Brownian moment also it shows. Brownian moment may be defined as a continuous zigzag movement of the colloidal particles in a colloidal solution. You can see the zigzag movement, you can see it here. One particle strikes another one, another particle strikes another one, and hence you can see a continuous zigzag movement is being shown. So what happens is here that is the dispersed particle strikes the dispersion medium particles, and hence a continuous zigzag movement is being developed, and that is known as your Brownian movement. The reason for the Brownian movement is based on the fact that the molecules of the dispersion medium, due to their kinetic energy, strikes the colloidal particles. I said here you can see two types of color. You can see it here, blue color and red color. You can below the picture. So one is a dispersed particle and there is the dispersion medium particles. When they strike each other, they move randomly in different directions, and the movement it shows is nothing but a zigzag movement, a random movement. Got it? So that particular movement is known as the Brownian movement. Clear? So the importance of the Brownian movement is that Brownian movement, it helps in the determination of Avogadro's number. We have studied in previous year in class 11. Brownian movement opposes the force of gravity and does not allow the colloidal particles to settle down. That's the most important one. Colloidal particles does not settle down. Suspended particles settle down. Now due to the presence of Brownian movement, as the dispersed phase and dispersion medium continuously, they strike each other, so do not settle down, and hence that is responsible for the stability of the colloidal solutions. This is the factor which is responsible. So again I repeat, Brownian movement is defined as a continuous zigzag movement of the colloidal particles in colloidal sol, we can say that. Another process is electrophoresis. Electrophoresis is a process in which what you find is that is the particles of the colloidal particles under the influence of an electric field, it moves. That is called an electrophoresis. You can see it here. We have taken a colloidal solution and we have passed there is electric current through it. So the colloidal particles, when it moves under the influence of the electric field, that is nothing but known as electrophoresis, because the said colloidal particles contains particles of oppositely charged. Got it? So hence when you pass electric current through it, then the colloidal particles moves under the influence of the electric field. It is called electrophoresis. It is also called as cataphoresis. Got it? This is also known as cataphoresis. Electrophoresis is also known as, which involves the movement of the colloidal particles under the influence of any particular electrode. For example, for cathode we can say cataphoresis. Similarly, we have also got electroosmosis. Electroosmosis may be defined as a movement in which the molecules of the dispersion medium allowed to move under the influence of the electric field. Here the particles are moving. In case of electrophoresis, the particles moves under the influence of the electric field. But here the medium is moving. The molecules in which the molecules of the dispersion medium are allowed to move under the influence of the electric field. Got it? Try to know the difference. In case of electrophoresis, the movement of the colloidal particles under the influence of the electric field. But here the movement of the the molecules of the dispersion medium. Got it? Allowed to move under the influence of the electric field, as known as that is osmosis. But here the particles are not allowed to move. In electroosmosis, the particles are not allowed to move. Got it? Next is your coagulation or flocculation. Coagulation or flocculation, precipitation, is a process of aggregating together the colloidal particles so as to change them into a large size particles which ultimately settle as a precipitate. In coagulation, we said that blood is coagulated. What does it mean? Blood has got precipitated. Because blood is a colloidal solution, you know that. So when the molecules of colloidal particles, they come closer together, they aggregate, they form a bigger particles and they settle down. They form a large size particles, they settle down as a precipitate. That is called as coagulation or precipitation. It is generally brought about by addition of electrolyte. When electrolyte is added to colloidal solution, the particles of the sole takes up the ions which are oppositely charged and they coagulate. They precipitate. Alright? Now, flocculation is when a small amount of electrolyte is added. When the concentration of electrolyte is low, the process is called flocculation. Listen carefully. When the concentration of the electrolyte is low, that is called as flocculation. It can be reversed on shaking. It can be reversed on shaking. However, at higher concentration, coagulation takes place and the process cannot be reversed by shaking. If you take lower concentration, it can be reversed by shaking. But if you take higher concentration of the colloidal solution, it cannot be reversed by shaking. So when you take small amount of electrolyte is added, got it? When the concentration of the electrolyte is added is low, the process is known as flocculation. I said, that flocculation, coagulation can be brought about by addition of electrolytes. Got it? By addition of electrolytes. The ion which is responsible for neutralizing of charge on the colloidal particles is called coagulating ion or flocculating ion. The ion, one ion is responsible, which brings all the ions closer to each other. Maybe a positive charged ion or negatively charged ion. Now they bring it brings closer to each other. Got it? These neutral particles then start accumulating to form particles of larger size. Got it? Which is known as coagulation or flocculation, we can say that. Clear? So coagulation or flocculation is a process of aggregating together the colloidal particles so as to change them into large size particles. Got it? Which ultimately settle down as a precipitate is known as coagulation or flocculation, we can say. And again I am repeating, it can be done by the addition of electrolytes. Got it? If you add the concentration of electrolyte added is low, the process is called as flocculation. It can be reversed on shaking. But if it is higher concentration, it cannot be reversed by simply shaking, we can say that. The minimum amount of electrolyte that must be added to 1 liter of a colloidal solution so as to bring about complete coagulation is called coagulation value or flocculation value or precipitation value of the electrolyte. The smaller is the coagulation value of an electrolyte, greater is its coagulation power. Remember it. What I said, the minimum amount of an electrolyte. Got it? The amount, how will you measure it? In terms of moles. So here in millimoles you will be measuring, because very small amount of electrolyte is added to 1 liter of the colloidal solution so as to bring about complete coagulation. You have taken 1 liter colloidal solution and you have added some minimum amount of electrolyte to it, so that completely the solution got coagulated. This is known as coagulation value or flocculation value of the electrolyte. So smaller is the coagulation value, greater is the coagulating power or precipitating power. We can say that. So understood what is coagulation? We can say that. Clear? That the addition of electrolyte, what happens is that the ions, got it? When an electrolyte is added to colloidal solution, the particles of the sole take up the ions which are oppositely charged and thus get neutralized. I said one of the ions gets neutralized. Got it? And that ion is called as coagulating ion or flocculating ion. Clear? So this is all about your process, we can say that. So thank you very much.